This is the Lucy Gernon Show, a raw, unfiltered and candid podcast where ambitious women in leadership and entrepreneurship come each week for inspiration, a good old laugh and real relatable stories. Each week we'll be diving into life hacks, leadership tips and the hilarious side of current affairs and being a woman in female leadership in the business world. You can expect a mix of laugh out loud conversations, real talk with top business minds, and solo episodes with yours truly that blend psychology, storytelling with practical tools and actionable strategies to support you to succeed in leadership and in life. So if you're an ambitious woman looking to grow, laugh, and get a little bit more confident along the way, you are definitely in the right place. Katy, good to see you.
It's so good to see you, my friend.
Always. Katy and I were chatting, was it Sunday night? I text Katy at like stupid o'clock on Sunday evening going, I need to talk to you. Katy and I have been friends for a while. Thank God that we have each other in business.
You know what? I think that that has been one of the things that I'm most grateful that I did was went out and found some women entrepreneur friends who are in the same boat as me, because I think we're like a bit of a lifeline. You're one of the people I talk to the most, even though you live like on the other side of the world. So I'm grateful for you. I'm super excited to be chatting today.
I know. So we're doing something different, right? So I have my podcast, the Lucy Gernon Show, which is a new show that nobody knows about. So don't tell anybody yet, because we're recording this early. And Katy, your show is called More Women Promoted, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to, will we just start by telling people what we're doing here and what we were talking about?
Yeah. Okay. So yes, your show has been very business oriented, as is mine, right? My podcast is all about helping more women get promoted. So it is very much like practical tips and frameworks. And you've guested on my podcast. I've guested on your podcast. And I love that you came to me with this idea of having more of a conversation around just like life, like where we're at. You know, our casual conversations are so fun, where we're not necessarily talking about specific business stuff, but we're just talking about like what it's like to be a woman in mid-age, running a business or in corporate or whatever the thing is, but just like with all the stuff we have to work through and deal with. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun talking about some stuff that might be like business adjacent, might be career adjacent, but it's going to be like real life talk.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah. And I think as well, you know, Katy and I were chatting about the fact that, like Katy said, we do talk a lot about business. My podcast is so serious a lot of the time. And then I'm like, nobody's really getting to see the fun that we have behind the scenes. So we have so many great conversations from everything from menopause to ADHD to inner critic to like childhood and like all of these things. So we just thought we'd have a conversation today on the show and just to see where it goes. So what was the first thing we were talking about? Like, actually, will we just introduce ourselves in case you're sharing it with your people? Let's at least do that bit. So go for it. You go first.
Okay. So I'm Katy McFee. I'm a former exec. I was a VP and EVP in biotech and tech. And now I run a business called Insights to Action, where I help women become VPs and really thrive in their roles, because my big, broad mission is to close the gender gap in senior leadership. So that's my mission in life. That's who I am and what I do. How about you? Who are you?
Oh, it's so funny that you say that, because I'm also an executive coach, but I was not an executive. There's a fun fact, but I did work in corporate leadership for a long time. And I do not necessarily help women get promoted, although it happens. I'm more about supporting women to lead with more confidence, really achieve their potential, but all without sacrificing themselves, because that's really what we were kind of going to talk about a lot today is, as women, Katy and I are so similar in so many ways, aren't we? We're high achievers. We like to be busy. We have kids, all of those things. And then sometimes you can get on the hamster wheel and you can really like, we'll take care of the family, we'll take care of the business, but like, do we really take care of ourselves? So that's kind of what we were going to start to talk about today. And that's what I basically help women with. I have a company called 360 Lead Hership. You see the her in the hership? Because I'm the same as you. Like, I just want to have more women. I believe that when we have more women in senior leadership, not just in senior leadership, but owning their voices at those tables and shaping culture, we can actually have a world where women can truly have it all, in the sense of have the career, have the family, but you don't have to work 70 hours a week to be successful. Like those days are gone. And I do think we're starting to see that. So I think we kind of complement each other in that. But then behind the scenes, sometimes, we need to follow our own advice, don't we, Katy? For sure.
It's like, I always say it's so much easier to tell someone else what to do than to actually do it yourself. I coach a lot of high achieving women as well, talking about boundaries, talking about how like your worth is not attached to your accomplishments. And then here I am, something doesn't go perfectly with me, or if I don't hit a milestone, like, let's face it, we all fail all the freaking time. Okay. Like, I don't care who you are. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. And so, yeah, it's like, I need to take my own advice, which is why I think we're such good friends, because then we give each other the advice that we need to hear.
100%. And like, that's the thing. Like, I think sometimes people will look at coaches like us because that's our message, right? Like we are, we all have a message we put out into the world. That's our like belief. That's our mission. That's our vision. But it doesn't mean that we don't need coaches. It doesn't mean that we don't need each other or tools, because of course, I think we're all human and everybody falls off the wagon along the way, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, and I think regardless of who you are, you can be the most knowledgeable person in the world. You can understand all of the mindset stuff and you're still a messy human. Like you still have a brain. Like I think about some of the things that I know that, yes, I know these things, and it is like a constant journey of reminding myself. It's never done.
No, it's never done. Never done. And I think if anyone ever says that, like I remember really like, when Instagram first started, this whole kind of social media phenomenon. I'm not going to say TikTok because I'm not on TikTok, but anyway, side note. And I remember like seeing all of these big promises of, you can change your life when you read this book, or, when I started my business, probably similar to you, I was like, okay, if I just invest in this coach, I'm like, spend like 50K, my whole life is going to change. And what I realized is you can get the best tools from so many different people, right? But it's ultimately it's on you. And like you said, we're all human. We are all human and we all are a bit of a mess at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think the big thing that I've learned too is that, you and I've talked about this before on podcasts, is that doing the inner work is like the best thing you can do. Whether you're a coach, whether you're a corporate, whether you're a business owner, like whether you're a stay-at-home mom, like it doesn't actually matter. But really the work of understanding who you are as a person, what makes you tick, what some of your tendencies are. It's so fascinating to me. I know you love this stuff too. We both love it. Like, what is your personality type, or like what is your Enneagram, or whatever the thing is. But like, this stuff is really cool. Actually, we should talk about a couple of them. I think we should dive into it for just a sec, because this stuff is just like, so to me, it shines such a light. And once you really understand yourself, then you can choose. You can be like, how do I want to show up? Right. I always say one of my favorite lines is intellect overcomes preference. All this stuff is preference. You get to choose at the end of the day. Are you a Myers-Briggs person?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've done it, but I think I remember my letters.
I'm an ENTJ.
I think I'm an E.
I'm an ENFJ. I just lied. ENFJ.
Feelings. I'm feelings as well. So remind me what they are, and I'll tell you. E is extrovert.
Extrovert or introvert?
I don't know. I'm kind of like on the fence. I think I'm like borderline extrovert. The next one is
intuitive or sensing. Intuitive is big picture thinker, like visionary. Sensing is like process driven, detail oriented.
Yeah, I'm S as well.
Oh, you're S. I'm N.
S or I. Interesting.
And then we're both Fs.
Yeah, we're both Fs. And then J.
And then J. We're both FJs.
Yeah.
But you might be an IS.
I think some of them, I kind of border on a couple of them. It's been so long since I've done it. And I think it depends on my mood as well. I can kind of flip between. Honestly, sometimes this is why I think those personality tests are great, right? I think they're indicative. But honestly, sometimes it depends on my mood, right? I can be the most introverted person and not want to speak to. I actually am quite introverted, which is ironic. But then I can be really extroverted. And then also in some senses, I'm such a visionary, but then I also like detail. So that's why sometimes with these personality tests, I think it's like I'm kind of tired trying to label myself. Put myself into a box. I just think that's why I know you do these assessments. We said we weren't going to get serious. Why are we getting serious with mindset? This is all But
The
I was
goal
going
is
to
not
say
to
that,
pigeonhole though, right? The goal
yeah,
is not to pigeonhole. The goal is to like understand how do I better understand myself and what I need? And even like, how do I manage my team better? That's how I think of it. So like, I don't actually care if it's, not that I don't care if it's accurate, but you know what I mean? It's like with Myers-Briggs, if you do it online, I think it's only has a 75% accuracy rate, unless you go do the big whole thing. So it's like, you have to like grain of salt.
yeah, that's
Right?
it. Like, and I think you
Yeah.
do evolve. Like, what do you think though? Because I think I've definitely evolved since I did it in
Yeah.
corporate like 20 years ago. That's what I'm trying to remember. I did it recently myself, but it's been so long.
So this is interesting. The first time I did the test was my very first job. And I came out as an ENFP. So a P type is not the like keeping lists 15 minutes early, whatever. That's J. P is like gathering more information and like a little more, right? Like it's perceiver versus judger. But then every other time I've done it later, I was a J. And so I'm like, don't know if it was that it was inaccurate or, and this is maybe a good transition. I think that my ADHD and learning to create systems and hacks to like essentially survive with ADHD in the corporate space turned me into a J. Like I think I had to like build more of that. And so yes, I'm like crazy with my lists and my systems and my whatever. But yeah, I don't actually know what my like if quote quote true type would be if it
Yeah.
weren't for the constraints of like one having ADHD, two recognizing like, oh, getting my shit done isn't serving me. Like this isn't helping me get promoted or whatever, right? Like, and so I wonder how often we like actually adopt habits and like change ourselves to an extent in order to like achieve the goal.
Yeah. 100%. And like you just said it there, like you change and evolve as the years go on, and like you build
Yeah.
systems or you grow, and then you bring in some menopause into the mix, and then you get older, more wiser or whatever they say, but along the way. But going back to what you were saying about the mindset thing or the Myers-Briggs and all of those, the Enneagrams and all of those, I do think they're really useful. And I actually think they're quite fun because I think
Yeah.
we like to understand ourselves. But the one thing I personally think is the more simple the better, which is why I love the saboteurs, right? And I know you do
Yes.
all this stuff as well because it's so simple. And my saboteurs have never changed. They just
Yeah.
come up in different frequencies. So when we talk
Yeah.
about saboteurs, I thought this was supposed to be light
Yes.
and fun and we're in mindset, but let's go.
I know this is
Here
gonna be
we
light and
go.
fun. So tell me the things that make you hate yourself. Light and fun.
I'm a high achiever. That's a good thing. Sometimes it's not. I'm a perfectionist. Not such a good
I
thing,
know.
you know.
I know. The interesting or is like the fascinating thing about saboteurs is we are attached to them, right? I think I've told you this before. I've told this story before that when I initially did the positive intelligence assessment and my top saboteur was hyperachiever, I was like, sweet, I got the best one.
Oh, I was the
Like,
same.
what does that say? And then when I read through like the dark side of that, which is, tying all your self-worth to your accomplishments and thinking you're not worthy if you're not achieving and all those things, I was like, yeah, I guess there is some dark side to that.
Yeah, and I think that can be so. If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, if you go to positiveintelligence.com, we are not being sponsored by this, but we probably should be. You can take a free assessment where you can find out what your saboteurs are, which is those kind of inner critic, negative self-talk voices, and it explains like where they came from, and it helps you understand a lot more about those things that you might think are good things. So like I was the same high achiever, perfection, like the stickler, which is like perfectionism. And I can't
Yep.
remember.
Mine's stickler too.
Restless is another one. I'm still the same. I cannot sit still. They're my top
Those are
three.
my top three.
Oh, no way. Oh my God.
Those are literally my same top three. I've never met someone with the same top three as me. That's
Yeah.
so fascinating. Yeah, those are my
Yeah.
top three.
But
Yeah.
they've changed. Like I think once you're aware of them. So basically they're the things that help you become who you are, and they've driven your success, but they also sabotage you because they're kind of linked to there's your sense of self, and they end up, bringing in overworking and all of those things. So
Yeah.
actually being able to learn to control them, which I think you and I have done we're quite good with the self-care these days. So do you want to share maybe with peoples that are listening around controlling that, like the little rituals that you do, and I can share some rituals that I do to take care of ourselves.
For sure. I have become so much more intentional about boundaries. I think back to when I was climbing the corporate ladder and I was not really want to say like intentional about the way I took care of myself, my life looked very different. It was like drinking a bottle of wine every night, and like my morning was a shit show and all the things. Now it looks like very intentional morning routine. One of the best things that I have done to help to manage my late diagnosed ADHD. So I exercise in the morning, I meditate in the morning. Those are the two big ones. And that really kind of helps me to show up as the person I want to be.
Here's a question. I'm jumping over you, but do you think you'd still be doing that if you were in corporate?
I would say it depends on if I were still in corporate and I had still been exposed to like some of the coaching concepts in the coaching world that I was exposed to, then maybe yes. But when I was in corporate, like it was only at the very end. I had an executive coach, but my executive coach was more performance based. Like we didn't do a lot of self-discovery stuff. Really? There was no woo. This was like a dude like who was like, I don't actually know if I don't think he was a certified coach. And so I only became aware of like true, like sort of ICF coaching at the very end of my corporate career. And then I ended up leaving. So had I, let's say I had learned all of that and then stayed in corporate, then probably yes. Cause I was at a breaking point. I was like, this life is no longer serving me. Right. I was like, I don't know what needs to change, but it certainly cannot stay the same. So it's really hard to say, but I would say like I was at a point where I was recognizing, and I think it was partly like the age I was getting to and probably my ADHD symptoms getting a little bit worse, mixed with throwing a little burnout, throwing a little like unhealthy living. And it was just like, it was no longer sustainable. I was in a really rough place. And so that is where my change came from. Like I kind of had to go through a really tough time to come out the other side and then create an intentional life. Right?
Yeah.
So what about you?
No, the reason I'm saying that is Katy voice notes me like in the mornings from her treadmill. And I'm always like, I wish I had her discipline. Like I have a personal trainer and I started yoga actually. I literally woke up on Sunday morning and I felt really overwhelmed. I just felt really, in your energy. So Katy and I both have ADHD and we're both in perimenopause. So, there's a bit of a cocktail going on there. Just occasionally, like wait till Katy's, we both have quite similar things going on. But I'm on medication, Katy's not. So Katy manages through your morning routine. I know is super important for you. Whereas I'm finding the medication is doing really great for me, but I still take care of myself. So long story short, I woke up on Sunday morning and I was just like, oh my God, I cannot face this week. I just felt really overwhelmed. I had my 3 kids were sick all week. One of my right-hand woman was out sick. We're in the middle of preparing for a big launch. I was having team performance issues with miscommunications. It was like the worst possible week from everything that could go wrong. When you're with your team and like everything is going wrong. And then at home, and I was like, oh my God, this is a shit show. So I woke up on Sunday morning at like 7 or something, or 7 a.m. or something. And I lay in bed and it was really dark and dreary out and it was raining and I was just like, oh, I just can't do it this day. And then I went, I really need to do something, and I didn't want to go to the gym. So I said, I'm just going to Google, like, is there a yoga class? And I found a yoga class, and in Ireland, it's not as big as your city and stuff. I was surprised. So anyway, long story short, went to yoga on Sunday morning and it's now my new thing. Now I've been once, but it's going to be my new thing.
Love it.
Sunday.
I'm doing yoga once a week on either Saturday or Sunday too. I've just added that back into my routine.
You're copying me. I think you're just like stalking me.
You know what it is? I decided this year, I was like, I want to go to yoga and I want to go with a friend. Oh. And I I don't have any good friends that live like right in my neighborhood who would do that with me. And so I reached out to one of my high school friends who I absolutely adore. And I was like, I want to see more of you this year. This is something I'm trying to do more of, is actually reach out to the people I want to talk to more and tell them, I want to see you more. I want to talk to you more. Like, say the thing that we're thinking. And so I was like, do you want to go for a walk or go to yoga or whatever? And so we ended up working out that I was going to go to her yoga studio. It's kind of halfway from our houses. And we went one week and I loved it. And so I went back the next week. And so now I think we're going to try to do it most weekends that, we're both around. But then I get a little bit of that, like my cup's full because I get to see my friend, and I'm doing yoga, which is, as you know, you leave and you just feel so physically, mentally good. I
So
find when I
good.
do
Oh my
that.
God,
Yeah.
that's it's so so good. Like I hadn't done yoga and I've done it many times on retreats and things. We did this, it was called like hatha yoga, I think. So there was a lot
Okay.
of meditation, there was a lot of connecting inwards, there was all of the things. I was like, sign me up. So I'm doing
Yeah.
that on a Sunday, and then on a Monday I'm doing this dance class. It's called Dance Yourself Fit.
Mm.
But they do everything from waltz to samba to mambo to cha-cha to hip hop. Every week there's a different theme. And it's just middle-aged women in a ballroom, absolute sweating buckets for an hour. And
I
it's
love
just
it.
so fun because my word for this year is fun. I've just been so busy like you, and I was like, no, I want to have
Yeah.
more fun. That's how I'm managing it. And then I have a personal trainer. I go twice a week. So
Mhm.
it's so funny. Like I feel like I've become that person that I wanted to be. Like as I'm hearing myself say that, I'm like,
Mm.
I always wanted to be the person who had a personal trainer, who went to the gym, who did that. And I just couldn't seem to get myself away from numbing with wine and like food and things. And now I feel like I'm in a good place, but I'm
I
still a bit
love
crazy.
that.
I'm like,
I
great.
know you're like, I wish I had your discipline, and like you're like, okay, and so I work out every day. So
Yeah, but you can
you
do it
do
at
have it.
home. No, but I need accountability, right?
Mm.
I
Yeah.
cannot. I've tried so
Yeah.
many times. I did it during COVID, but I kind of I like knowing I meet my sister to go to the whatever the dance class. I have my PT.
You need that external accountability. So
Yeah,
that's so not to go back to personality assessments,
go
but
on.
if you're familiar with the four tendencies, do you know that one? Gretchen
Yeah,
Rubin?
tell me about this one. Remind me of them.
So there's the obliger is the one where you'll do everything for everyone else, but you don't meet so it's how you meet external expectations and how you meet internal.
Okay,
And so obligers meet external but not internal. And
right.
questioners are the opposite. They'll do it if they think it makes sense, but they'll resist external. I am an upholder, so I meet both. So that's not common, but like for me, I always say like bias for action is not my problem. Like I will do the thing. I will do the hard thing every single day as much as it sucks. It's just like, it's just in me. I joke that I'm like, I can eat a lot of shit. Like I'll just do the shitty thing over and over and over again. Because for me, I actually would love to go to a gym and go work out outside of my house every day. But with the way my life is right now, as you know, I have a 5-year-old, which was not the plan, but here he is and I love him. But I have a 5-year-old and 2 other kids and a couple dogs and a business and everything. I just don't have the space currently in the way my business and life is set up to work out outside of my home because
But you
I
don't
feel
need
like,
to if you're able to hold yourself accountable.
yeah,
You know, if you're
it's just
able
not
to.
as
I just
fun.
wasn't, and I think I was just at a stage where I was like, I kept saying I didn't have time. Okay, so classic. What
Yeah.
my clients tell me I don't have time, and then I looked at my husband said to me, he was like, just get up earlier. And I was like, no. I like my sleep. I'm not wasn't really an early riser, and he was always up like at 5:30, 6 a.m. And then I went, you know what? Like when I looked at my schedule, like you, I have clients all over the world, I have team all over the world. Oh, I have a chunk of time there in my day where I'm working, and then I have kids in the evening, and they have activities. And I was kind of looking at the end of my day, going, it just doesn't usually work for me to want to go to the gym at that time with my kids and everything. And
Mhm.
then I went, okay, what if I look for a class, or what if I found somebody who could train me while my kids were asleep, so that when they get up, I can still take them to school. And that's what I've done. So I go to the gym at 6:45 a.m. I'm back home by 7:45. My kids are older now, you see, so they can kind of get themselves ready. And then
Yeah.
we leave at just before 8:30, and then I start my day. My work day doesn't start till 10 a.m. So it feels really good
Yeah.
that I've been able to build that in my life, and it's just paid dividends in terms of my mental well-being and my physical health as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually think my morning routine, it's one of those things where it's become a non-negotiable. And actually, I will say, people will be like, oh, that's so amazing you do that. But I would say getting my ADHD diagnosis is part of what allowed me to give myself permission to prioritize that and to ask my husband, my now husband, to support me in that. Because before I actually felt guilty,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, I was like, well, I should be with the baby and I should be whatever. But then what I noticed was that like when he wanted to go work out, he would just go work out. Like he was just like, okay, I'm going to go work out. And I was like, he doesn't care. He's just going to work out when he's going to work out. And here I am like hemming and hawing and like, oh, should I not? Whatever. And then I don't do it. And then I feel not very good. And I'm like, and then I'm kind of beating myself up. I'm like, what if I just said, this is important to me. I need this time to show up as the version of me I want to be. Will you support it? So I did that. And he was like, sure. Like, it was like no problem. It took me like 2 years to ask. He's like,
I know,
yeah, okay.
like we make this thing out to be like a huge thing in our head, and it's like, yeah,
He's like, yeah, okay. And
I
so
was the same with my kids. I was like, I can't leave my kids to get ready for school. Like one is 18, by the way, and the other is almost 14. And then
they can't get dressed for school. We got bigger problems.
Well, the almost 10-year-old is actually more bloody, she's more responsible than them. So I wasn't actually worried about her. It was the older ones. But I was like, oh, I have to be there in the morning. And then I was like, but what about me? Like, what about, where am I finding time in my day for me? You know, you give to your clients, you give to your team, you solve all the problems. You like, I don't know, I love to cook as well. So, you know,
Me too.
Yeah. Well, I stopped in quarter 4 because I kind of almost burned out, but I'm back doing it again. And I was like, I do a lot for this bloody family. So yeah, it's okay to take care of ourselves. So go.
Hells yeah. I mean, like, it's not even just okay. It's like you show up as a better, I don't know about you. I show up as a better mom, a better version of myself. And I mean, hey, there's some days that I'm getting my morning routine. Like just so I'm painting the picture, if anyone is listening, they're like, wow, she gets this like beautiful morning to herself. There have been workouts where I've been in the gym in my basement. All 3 kids and our golden retriever have been in there with me. I'm like, you know, I'm getting it done. It's not quite the vision I had in my mind, but like, you know, so sometimes it looks like me getting this workout to myself. Sometimes it looks like my 5-year-old in there, you know, talking my ear off for the entire time. And all of it is fine, right? Yeah. It's like, it's going to look a little bit different. And I'm actually A-okay with that. I'm so grateful that I get to spend that time and focus on my health and like feel good. And so sometimes if I have to do it with a dog or a kid on me, I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. And I think as well, like it's such a good example you're setting for your children, because I sometimes you forget that, because I go to my gym in my personal trainer. I'm lucky that in the school holidays, she allows me to bring Kate. So Kate was like 9 last summer, and Kate used to come in her workout gear and like, she'd come and work out with me, and she loved that. And then my eldest boy, who I really didn't think I would inspire him, he told me that because I was going to the gym, you know, kind of, he was like, well, if you can kind of go early in the morning, maybe I can start going in the morning. And it's just, it's actually just setting a really positive example. Yeah. Whereas if I look at who I was years ago, especially in corporate, I was like you. I was like, give me the wine, because I cannot regulate myself. I'm so stressed. I didn't exercise consistently. And literally wine was the way, like, I numbed my stress. It was not like 7 days a week, but like definitely Friday and Saturday night, or if I had a really stressful day, I'd be home and having a glass of wine. And now I actually have broken that habit. You won't even believe me in LA. I don't even think I've really broken it in the last months for sure. Yeah.
If you had met Taylor jokes that he's like, this was not the Katy I met. It's like the Katy I met partied. It was super fun, stayed up late. And so I feel you. It's the same thing, right? And I would say I was at the point, I was a single mom for a while, and like there was just a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. And I had undiagnosed ADHD. And so which I didn't even know that I had. I just knew that like life was really freaking hard. And so for me, it was, you know, coffee in the morning, wine at night. Like this was, I was just self-medicating with coffee and wine. And, you know, for a while, I was hanging on by a thread, but it was doing okay. I mean, I had a successful career, but I think this is a big reason that I burnt out. And I would say like, this is a story that, because for people who know me now, like I basically, as you know, almost never drink. It's very rare that you see me drinking, but I would be driving home from work and I would have to get there for childcare. And I'd be like, oh shoot, there's no wine in the house. This is on a random Wednesday. This is literally every day, Lucy. I'm not even kidding. Oh, really? Okay. And I would stop at the liquor store to get wine, because I'd be like, I just need at least 1 glass of wine. Like that was the habit that I was in. And I don't think I was physically dependent, but I had created, there was so much habitual, like it was the mindset around, I felt like that was my permission to relax, or, you know what I mean? Like let the stress of the day go. And so that's what I was going to say, quote, like addicted to, but like, I just wanted that ability to like, kind of like relax and let go. And so I had to think about, okay, what does my ritual look like now? It's not going to be that. Right. And maybe now it's cooking dinner, or now actually, you know what? One of the things is I change my clothes.
What?
Like so I dress for work, even if I work at home, even if I don't have clients or whatever, I get dressed for work. I wear jeans or a sweater or a blazer or whatever. And then at the end of the day, my transition is I say, I'm going to go put on my play clothes. This is what I say to Thomas. And I go put on like a jogging suit or like leggings. And like, that is my transition to turn it off, as opposed to pouring a glass of wine.
I love that. That is so good. That is so good. God, I mean, imagine if we had met years ago, we would have had such fun when we both drank.
I wish you met old Katy. She was so fun.
Oh my goodness. It was so funny. When we were in LA. Do you remember the night we were out for dinner and I ended up really sick that night and you were there the one night you were gonna have wine and you were like, I'm having a glass of wine, please stay. And I was like, I can't.
I know.
What else were we going to talk about? ADHD, right? So let's talk about ADHD for a second, because I feel like it's a conversation that needs to be had. Like, I have combined ADHD, which means I struggle a lot with focus, concentration. And then I also have the impulsivity side. And like, I interrupt a lot. Like, I don't think you do that. I interrupt a lot because I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, shut up. And I just can't help it. And then my sister's like, you can't help it. You just have to like train yourself. I'm like, fuck off. I can't.
Okay. So Taylor and I, we don't really ever fight, but that has been a fight we've had because I'm also a combination. When I was diagnosed,
interrupt me though. I feel like I interrupt you a lot.
No, I don't. Well, if you do, I don't notice it. Probably because we're the same. I literally don't notice.
Thinking about something else, looking at the window. What?
Like, I don't know. And it's just like that reframe of, it's often because we're excited or it's because we want to relate or whatever. Like, it's not true, like interrupting. We're not trying to be rude, but yeah, no, I've had trouble with that. And I've tried to become really conscious of it because of that, because Taylor's like, can you stop interrupting me? And I was like, oh, and then I've got rejection, sensitivity, and dysphoria.
Of course.
And I'm like, he hates me.
But even I think, with your team, like I would hear this a lot from some of my clients as well. I'm sure you hear exactly the same thing when they're in a meeting with somebody and somebody speaks over them and interrupts them and they take it to heart. And sometimes I'm like, could this person be neurodivergent? Because I certainly can own up and say, when I get excited or I know the answer, I cannot sit there and don't give me all of the detail. I need executive summary, high level, and then I'll ask for information. Whereas if I'm sitting there with somebody and they're telling me their whole story, like my husband he's a real detailed person and his brain works the total opposite of mine. So instead of just asking me or telling me the punchline, I have to wait for the story. I do not cope very well with that.
I can't do it. I can't do it. Well, and I'll even be like physically like moving in my chair. Like it's funny because when I was diagnosed, because I was like fully gaslighting myself. I was like, I probably don't even have ADHD. I'm just like using this as an excuse because I'm such a shit show. And then the woman's like, oh, you pretty much meet like every criteria in both categories.
Well, I was the same, Katy. I think there was like 20 to 24 and I made like 22 in both. I was exactly
like, it was, I don't even know what the ones that I don't meet, but, and I remember getting on a call with this woman. She's a coach and she wanted to like film something. And she was like, you're moving in your chair. And I was like, yeah, I have ADHD. I move. Like, I was just like, because I used to feel so shameful and whatever around the fact of all of these things. And now I'm just like, yeah, I have ADHD. I fucking move a lot. I'm sorry. now I'm getting a little
I was
spicy.
saying, like, growing up, I was always told, like even now you're going to say, I cannot sit still. And this is me on medication, right? And like growing up, I was always told to sit still and be quiet. And I remember when I used to serve mass, like, so I'm like in Catholic Ireland, I used to serve Tuesday. Stop. I think we did talk about this before.
Yeah, I did.
This is like, I cannot deal. You're like my Canadian.
I know, we're
taller, more fit, more beautiful.
Parallel lives.
But I remember being told to sit still and I had to like ring the bell. And I developed this twitch in my eye because my like I was like literally like this. And I used to do, my husband laughs, I used to go like this because it was like a nervous thing. Like I used to suck in breath because I used to get the nerves.
Your energy had to go somewhere. You know what I do? I use stuff like this. I have like fidget toys at my desk so that when I'm on a call, I can like play with it and seemingly be composed,
Okay.
because otherwise I'm just moving and fidgeting constantly in my chair.
I have my crystals, and I usually do that as well. But
I've got
let's
crystals
see,
around my desk
let's see who moves first.
You can't tell, but I'm fidgeting.
Yes, I actually beat you at something. I love it. What else then? So yeah, ADHD is real, right? And I think something that we need to talk about is, I don't know about you, but when I got my when my it was actually my friend said to me, right, this is like vulnerable now that I'm going to say this, but I've lost a lot of friends over the years. And when I say lost a lot of friends, like, you grow and evolve as people. But I'm the kind of person that when you're my friend, like I love and I love hard. And like if you're in I don't let many people in. And if you're in my world, like you're lucky. Okay. But if you're in my world, like I take that seriously. And I just always thought that if you're friends with somebody, you're friends forever, because I'm very loyal. I think that's it. I'm quite a loyal person. And I was going through all this stuff for years with it, not knowing I had ADHD, which I was diagnosed with as well last year. Like we're on such a similar journey. And my friend, I was in Poland actually at the Christmas markets with my friend like 2 or 3 Christmases ago. And I brought this up with her, and I was kind of saying to her around the fact that like, I don't really feel like people like me, and like, I don't really have a lot of friends. But if I really look at my friendships, like, do I make the effort? No, probably I don't. And it's a two-way thing. And she said to me, like, do you think it's because of the do you think you might maybe have ADHD? And I was like, And I honestly thought that was for people who were like crazy. Like, honestly, like I wasn't. And obviously we think we're normal. We're probably not. But I was like, so she got me dinner. We were sitting in a restaurant in the middle of the square. I can't remember the name of the square in Krakow, with like the Christmas trees and all
I've been there.
And the snow and all of this. And I was drinking wine at the time, and we were doing this obviously non-validated assessment. And I was doing it like yes, 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 yes. I was like, you most likely have ADHD, and I was like, oh come on, everybody like moves a lot, and everybody talks, and everybody like feels rejected.
Yeah.
All different markers. Like anyway, so then I decided I'd book in for an assessment, but there's like a 2-year waiting list in Ireland, and this was to like pay privately. And when I went, and he told me, I did the screening assessment where I had to look at a screen for 20 minutes and like press a button. Did you do that one with the red dots?
Oh.
So I did a screening assessment where I didn't realize they were watching me through a window. I had to come in here and like press a button every time I saw this red flash. They said like my body, I was literally like, I couldn't focus. I was looking out the window after like 2 minutes. And I was like, but surely nobody would enjoy that. And they were like, no, but your body was like shaking after like, 10 seconds. You just did not sit for the entire time. That was one of the tests they did, and obviously did more. But when they told me, he was like, yeah, I can confirm you definitely have it. And potentially on the autistic side as well, there might be a little bit, some of that there as well, because that's definitely my family. Like I got really, like I burst into tears because I just wanted to be normal. But then I also knew I had it, but it was a really surreal moment to kind of get the diagnosis. What about you?
So it's so funny because for me, it was similar in the sense that it was a friend who mentioned to me that she thought I had ADHD. So she's actually a friend of a friend. She was doing my hair. She came to my house to do my hair during the pandemic. And she was a former social worker, and then she had burnt out and she became a hairdresser. And her daughter had been diagnosed with ADHD, and she knew ADHD pretty well. And I must have said something in passing, like, yeah, maybe I have a little ADHD or something like that when she was doing my hair. And so we were talking for a couple of hours. And when she was leaving, I was saying goodbye to her at the door, and I was like, so good to see you, whatever. And she goes, so good to see you. Oh, also, you 100% have ADHD. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you definitely have ADHD. And so like that was kind of felt like a bit of a shock to me, because I think I had said that before, but I didn't really necessarily believe that I did. Like it was just one of those things. obviously on some level, I must have thought that I did, because I would say stuff like, I probably have a little ADHD, but I didn't really think I was like diagnosable. And so then I started to think about, I started to be like, okay, do I pursue a diagnosis? Like, what do I want to do here? And I started kind of like listening to some podcasts and looking online. And then I also pursued like a diagnosis, and sure enough, like I was diagnosed. And I also had a very emotional reaction, partly because like I was thinking, like, I almost like thought a lot about like the what ifs. Like, I'm like, I've spent so much of my life carrying around so much shame for behaviors that were largely out of my control. And it makes me emotional to even think about it now, right? To like how much of my life I beat myself up and I shamed myself for running 15 minutes late or doing whatever. And I just didn't have the tools. And so, yeah, it was like, I had to like almost go through this like process of like maybe grieving or just like accepting. And I did find it pretty emotional, but then as I did that,
you say you get emotional. If I was to say that now, I would literally be in tears. Like, I was recording a podcast today. I get really choked up and I cannot stop it. And it's called flooding. And
flooding. I had that too. And I hate it.
You actually quiver. I'm like, why don't you quiver like I quiver, please? Because I mean, shame.
My eyes well up, and it happens. And it doesn't even always happen when I'm emotional. Like sometimes it happens when I'm like maybe I care or whatever. I'm not actually feeling that emotional, but then like my eyes will like water. And I'm like, the person I talk to is going to think I'm crying. I'm like, I'm not crying. So we're clear. I'm okay.
I'm sorry. I go like this. Sorry. Like my mouth goes. I would take tears in my eyes all day long. My mouth literally drops and I just go. Oh,
okay, I don't do the quiver. I just do the eyes.
Something really emotional, and I'll show you. It's like, it's so embarrassing. I remember being in with my boss one day, and he's like total analytical head, not a sniff of emotion in the man's body.
Yeah.
And like he asked me a question, and it started to happen. And he was just looking at me. I was like, please don't worry. Just before I knew, I was like, it'll stop in a minute, because I just couldn't control it. And then I met my husband, and we were having an argument, and I was, emotional, upset. It would start, and he used to say, oh, you're just doing that thing again to, like get yourself.
Make him feel bad?
Yeah. And I was like, I'm actually not. I swear it must have taken him almost, like, we're together a long time. We're together 21 years or something like that. But it must have taken him at least, I would say 18 years to realize, okay, she's actually telling the truth. Like
18 years.
I swear, I used to call myself such a baby. But anyway, I interrupted you. Where were we?
I don't remember, but yeah, where were we? I don't remember, but like, just the idea that like, I think getting a diagnosis for anyone who is unsure whether they have ADHD or not, like, I think getting a diagnosis is also so freeing and allows you to start that self-acceptance. And so like, even just for that, I just think it's so powerful to be able to, give yourself a break and be like, this was not my fault. And I even think about like, when I was a teenager, I was very impulsive. I did a lot of reckless stuff, teenagehood, early adulthood. And now I'm like, this was clearly undiagnosed ADHD. Like it's clear as day to me now.
What do you say to people like, because I don't know, is it the same in Canada, but definitely in Ireland, there's a narrative of, oh, everybody has a little bit of something. And the other thing that as well, it was actually my sister asked me, she said, like, why do you want to do this? Like, would you go on medication? And at the time I was absolutely opposed to medication. Like I wouldn't take, if I have a headache, I find it difficult to take something. So I was like, no, I was like, well, why would you bother spending it costs a couple of $1,000 to kind of get diagnosed and things to go through the process. What are you going to get from it? And I said, like, acceptance, like understanding myself to, like, I think when you have ADHD, and I believe it's the same for people who are neurodivergent in all spectrums, pretty much, like, you beat yourself up a lot. And there's the RSD thing, the rejection sensitivity dysmorphia or disorder, whichever one you want to call it, which is you do feel rejection so much more because you've been corrected more than the average child. There's so much data out there that shows that kids who have ADHD are corrected something like, I think they have like 700% more rejections in their childhood.
They get 20,000 additional negative messages.
Yeah. Like
20,000.
crazy, but because they're doing things that normal kids don't do. So
Yeah,
when you're forming your beliefs about yourself as a kid, you just think, I thought I was really annoying. I
too.
thought, like, I still think I'm really annoying. Like, I am a bit annoying, but then I also think I'm good in some other ways, you know, the way you don't
You're
know
the best.
yourself.
No, that is my secret fear, is that people think I'm annoying and don't like me. Like, we all have like our deep secret fears. That is mine, is like people think I'm annoying, people don't like me. And it is all absolutely rooted in ADHD.
Yeah, it's wild.
100%.
It's wild. And I think for a lot of the women that we work with as well, a lot of them are come to me, and they we do a lot in time management, prioritization, delegation, all of that. But because my mother was so strict growing up, like she ran that house like in a good way, like a military sergeant. There was a lot of structure, there was a lot of boundaries. She really showed me how to organize things. And honestly, without her, I wouldn't have survived. But because of that, and then because I went into science, as did you, which is also just wild, I learned a lot of structure through the scientific field as well, which really, really helped me. So I think because of all of that with me, I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm not a bit. I'm very structured in a way that I have a lot of systems in place. Does it mean I don't use them all the time? Just I don't have hundreds of to-do lists, but I have systems in place to like support me in terms of what my priorities are. And I feel like that's been an absolute game changer. Whereas a lot of women that I work with before they start working with me, and then I share, like, for example, I have my Firefighting to Freedom playbook. There's 10 rules in it that I live and die by, just 10 systems. And it's like they just, no one's taught them these kind of things
Yeah.
before. And sometimes we think things we do, like your morning routine, it's just so like synonymous with who you are, you don't even think it's a big deal. Or but other
Yeah.
people can really benefit from, like, we all benefit from learning from each other, don't we?
Well, yeah, and so the interesting thing, I don't know if you found this, and that, what a blessing that your mother ran your house that way, because my house was not like that. So it was like, probably because at least one of my parents had ADHD as well. But and so what I realized when I was diagnosed and I started to look up just hacks for managing your ADHD and for living life successfully with ADHD, I realized that like I had actually created a lot of those in my life already out of necessity. And so it's interesting when women come work with me, same thing. I'm like, I've got all these systems and hacks and things. And I think they're valuable for either people who are neurodivergent or who are neurotypical, because
Mm,
oftentimes systems are helpful for anyone. But like people like you and I created them out of like freaking sheer necessity.
survival, yeah, absolutely.
Survival, absolutely. And now, yeah, they're just the way that I live my life. And the only thing that has really changed again is like the permission piece. Right.
Yeah.
I already knew that like working out in the morning made me feel better, but I felt bad. And then I was like, oh no, okay, I need this. So I'm allowed to ask for it.
And do you
Yeah.
think ADHD and confidence, what's the relationship there, do you think?
I mean, I think because of the shame piece, the negative messaging, all of that stuff. Well, we know that people with ADHD are more likely to have anxiety and depression and all types of other things. And I'm sure it's, well, I'm not sure. I believe my guess, if I were to guess, would be that is not biological. It's because of the way we are received and perceived as people with ADHD. And so I think that absolutely impacts our confidence, right? Once we really understand ourselves, I think we have to work at choosing to build back that confidence and feel the good about who we actually are, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's kind of like you're, especially in corporate, you're trying to fit into, well, for me, I feel like I was a little bit of a square peg in a round hole in a lot of ways, because I was more of a creative. Like, I could solve problems so fast. I can see really simple solutions really, really quickly. And I don't need like a lot of, I don't, anytime anyone ever gave me, and now I know you love data, we can talk about this in a second, but sometimes I'd be asked, you know what I mean, to do capacity plans or projections. And like, you could literally spend a week on a spreadsheet. And I used to do it for a long time, and I absolutely hated every last bit of it. But I always knew the answer anyway. So I would do all of this.
yeah,
And I was like, but like sometimes you just have to do it. And I think sometimes if you have people on your team, if you're logical and you're data driven, and you have somebody on your team who has a proven track record of making good decisions without data. Let them use their gut, like let them move forward. Whereas I feel
Yeah.
like I was held back a lot. So sometimes, like I can say this now, but sometimes I would, like, if I was asked to do capacity plans for resources and things, like the first time I did it, I had a whole team of, like, Lean Six Sigma experts around me. I had statisticians, all of it, right? Spent so much time on this capacity plan. And in the end, it ended up being totally wrong based on what I actually really did need, because it wasn't factoring in potential shifts and like all these things that I was like, that's not right. So the next time I had to do it, I literally went back and I was like, okay, what do I want the number to be? What do I actually know that it actually needs to be? And how can I work backwards to make all of these numbers add to this number? And I got it done like in like an hour or two by myself. It was still, you're only forecasting. So like nobody actually has the exact predictions of what's going to happen. Whereas, I just found like that really annoyed me in the corporate world, that I just couldn't move at the speed I wanted to, which would have actually helped the business.
This is one thing I always say to people too, because one of the things that I would think was like, can I actually be an executive? These people seem so different than me. And again, if I think about it now, a lot of that had to do with the fact that I had ADHD, because I was like, I like forget to pay for parking, and I'm late for meetings. Like these people they have their shit together and I don't, But what I found was that once I got to the executive level, that a lot of that stuff goes away. A lot of the because when I was at a director level, I was still being asked to write these big long strategy plans and doing all these things that for me were pure torture. Absolutely hated doing it. I wasn't good at it because I hated it. All that stuff, right? Once I got to the exec level, I had resources. I had admin assistants and a team and all of this stuff. And so I could actually choose to spend my time the way that served me best, that I enjoyed, and that I was also better at, right? Which for me was serve me up the data and let me connect the dots and let me figure out this and which lever should we really pull in order to maximize our growth. And I love that. But I don't want to go source that data and figure it out. And I needed a strong right hand to do that for me. And so I actually love putting this message out into the world, where if anybody listening suspects they have ADHD or has ADHD, you absolutely can thrive as an executive. Middle management is probably a harder place for you to be. So it's claw your way up, do what you got to do. This sucks where you are right now. But it's once you get into that exec seat, you're going to be able to really leverage the genius of your ADHD brain. So,
my gosh, that is lovely pearls of wisdom to give to everybody. I hope it's given you some hope for sure. As well, a lot of entrepreneurs have ADHD or dyslexic, or they're on the spectrum in some way. So I genuinely now I'm at a stage where I do see it as a superpower. And I think just knowing that not everyone is going to like you and actually being okay with that is, for me, has been the most freeing thing. It took me a long time and a lot of work. So I'm glad we're having this conversation today. It's very emotional and moving and beautiful and all the things.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like people need to hear it.
Yeah.
Right? It's people look one way on the outside, and I always kind of joke, people think I have my shit together. It really looks like it. And on social media and on, when we see people in a certain light, we tend to put them on pedestals. And I did this for years with, influencers or executives or just people, right? We put people on pedestals, and we have to remember that everyone is just a messy human.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. Everybody. We're all just.
When we were in LA, was it Jay Shetty? So I'm just name dropping here, but I think it was Jay Shetty when we were in LA. Was it Jay Shetty? I think it was. Yeah, he did. It was him. And we were talking about success. Remember I was asked him about success and happiness and all of that stuff. And then he spoke about, he's like, I know billionaires who are absolutely miserable. I know people who are the happiest people in the world who have absolutely nothing. So sometimes I think we look at people who are successful, who are billionaires, like Richard Branson, for example, or Jeff Bezos or whoever. We may think that they have all of their shit together, but they don't. They just have teams. They're human. They make mistakes, and guess what? They become successful along the way.
Yeah. Well, and I'm actually reading a book right now, which I already feel like I am pretty good about this, but it's called The Art of Spending Money. I don't know if you I think his name's Morgan Housel is the author. He wrote The Psychology of Money, which is also a really good one. And The Art of Spending Money is all about, are you spending money so that other people are impressed, or are you spending money on things that actually make your life better? And so it's a good one. It's a good one to read. And this is, I feel that I am very intentional. I've done a lot of like work and thinking and journaling and reflecting on what's important to me and the life I want to have and what's enough and all that kind of stuff. But we do tend to equate like monetary success or fame with happiness. And the truth is there's not much of a correlation there. So you can use money to be happier if you're intentional about it. But if you're chasing status and, admiration from other people, then that's not the path to happiness.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God, you're so right. Like, I'm the same for years and years and years. Like, I've loved like Louis Vuitton and all of those things since before I could even afford it. I was just always like, I always liked designer things, but it was because of the status. It was like, okay, so if I have this, it means I'm good enough. If I have this, I'll fit in with people who I look up to, which means I'm like them, which means I'm good enough. It all came back to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what I know now is I'm the same. Like, that last year, I basically got rid of so much of my designer stuff, and I actually donated it because I was like, somebody else might be really, really happy with that kind of thing. I don't need to buy any more stuff. Like, I know you and I, we went and we got ourselves a little purchase in Cartier. We don't need designer stuff.
We don't.
But it's understated, right? And to me, like, a lot of people wouldn't know what it is. And that's like an investment piece, and it's gold and it's going to increase your value. And I see it as an
it's also fun.
Like,
so my mentality is like, I still like nice things. Like, yeah, I still like, and I like attaching prizes with goals. Like, just like, I'm like still 8 years old. Like, I'm like, if I hit this goal, I'm going to get this prize. And sometimes
you don't need things anymore, but you do.
Well, to me, it's not even about buying nice things or not. It's about the control that money has over you, if it makes sense, right? So I think you can choose, if you have money and you can afford it, and you want to buy a Louis Vuitton purse, or you want to buy a Cartier ring, or you want to buy whatever, do it. You do you, right? It's like, that's totally fine. And I think you can even do it knowing, like, because when we were at the last mastermind, one of the women, I'm not going to obviously name on the podcast, but was talking about a Chanel purse and getting a Chanel purse and how she, wanted one or something. And we were having a conversation around, and I said, if you were on a desert island, would you still buy that Chanel purse? She goes, fuck no. She acknowledged, I am doing it to be seen. And I actually think there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm a big believer there's no right way to live. So long as it's within your means, you're doing it intentionally. Like, you recognize that the truth is, no one is going to think you're cooler or better because you have that. You're not even they might look at the person and be like, I wish I had that purse for me, but they're not going to look at that person and be like, that girl must be really cool because she has that purse. Like, they're not going to actually attach that item to you. And so if you can consciously know that and still choose to buy it, go to town. Like, I think it's fine.
It's a good feeling, like, not needing, don't they say when, was it something about rich people don't shop in Louis Vuitton? It's only people who want to look rich that shop in Louis Vuitton. And that's not actually true, though, because obviously it's not. But in a lot of cases, that's why you get so many the fake bags and stuff going around. But I think it goes back to kind of that status. So I think it's like, just spend your money on things that bring you joy. And for me, like, when we did our little trip into Cartier together, like, that was my first Cartier purchase. And every time I look at it, it reminds me of, it's a memory. Like, it's a special moment that we had, and we were all there, and it'll remind me of, of that kind of trip. And like I said, my kids.
Exactly. Like, if I ordered this ring online by myself, it wouldn't feel the same. Like, like, maybe that would be kind of like a quote waste or whatever. But because, like, I feel like we went and did it together, and it meant something, and it was like this, it was just like, every time I look at it, to me, it represents like expansive energy. Exactly. And like we tied meeting to it, right? Like, the whole, like, everything that you need is already within you and everything. Like, then I think that's a different story. Like, when I look at this, I feel good. I like remember that. Like,
exactly.
I think that's money well spent, actually.
And I think money as well, we've spoken about this before, but I've really shifted my money mindset from, I lived in serious scarcity because I grew up in we didn't have a lot, like, so I was always very, very conscious of money and like all of those things.
Yeah.
And when I started my business, it was really, really hard, blah, 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 blah. But now I genuinely just see money as numbers on a spreadsheet,
Yeah.
because that's actually all it is. Like, money doesn't, I remember money mindset coach sharing this, saying, you know, money doesn't actually exist. You do know that. Like, money doesn't actually exist. What does that mean? Like, you get a number on your pay slip. It goes in as a number in your bank account. You use a
Yeah.
certain amount of that number to purchase whatever the thing is. Like, but it's not actually as valuable as, you know, with inflation and changes in currencies. Like, it's not, it's an illusion. It actually is. It's just a resource. Whereas your time is the most
Yeah.
important thing. So spending it wisely on, you know, experiences and, like, you know, things that would buy you back your time.
Outsourcing
I
housework.
think it's just so much more important in terms of money.
Yeah.
But listen, we're on for about an hour. I mean, I wonder, are people still with us? Girls, do you like our conversations? Do you like our
Is anyone
Katy and
still
Lucy stuff?
listening, or is it just us? Hey, if it's just us, I'm okay with that.
Well, now we can get into the really good stuff. Did you hear about? No, my joking.
You know what? If people like this conversation, we'll do another one.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, we didn't even dive into perimenopause, which I think could be a topic for another chat.
Well, you know what? Definitely, we should definitely do something on perimenopause, for sure. So, guys, let
Dive
us know.
on
Like, DM
perimenopause.
Katy and I. Let us know what you thought about this conversation. It was a little bit more organic. We started off deep. We always will, I think.
I only have.
High.
You're either a stranger, or I'm asking you what your secret hopes and dreams and fears are.
Yeah, like literally. I mean, there's no gatekeeping in this. This is totally real. Okay, well, I think will we leave it there for today? I think we've
leave it there.
Okay.
This was so fun, Lucy. I always love talking to you.
I love you. Thank you for being my friend. Are you grateful I'm your friend? Do you like me?
I like you a lot. I love you.
I'm going to have an asthma attack. I need my inhaler. Hang on. Literally.
That's how excited you are.
Oh my God. Okay. Listen, we are going to go and continue this conversation off the air. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Lucy and Katy show today. If you're listening on the Lucy Gernon Show, thank you for being here. Let me know if you would like Katy to come back for another conversation. And if you are listening on where Katy is on a Katy show, or if she pops it up somewhere, reach out to Katy and let us know your feedback as well. So until next time, from me anyway, see you later. Katy, do you want to say anything to say goodbye?
Yeah. Feel free to reach out if you want to hear more about this, or if you have other topics that you want us to jam out about, then we always want to hear that. But this was super fun. I can't wait to do it again.
Amazing. Thank you.
Bye.